back to where we all would like it to be. And so, and we had Lindy graciously come on board, and she stayed longer than she planned on. But I just kept telling her, look, if you want adjustments, you have to stay. So, but we've had some people. We interviewed 2 people tonight, and the board moved to hire Lori Briggs with the condition that she meets all requirements of Title 22 and state licensing, and that we're going to investigate development of a position at SCC for Kelly to play an evolving leadership role in the school. And it was moved by Ron, seconded by Tom, and I'll give you this, Beth. And it was a unanimous vote, so Linda, Shay, and I all voted yay. Aye. Yay. So we're excited because the lady that we had come visit us, which came from a prior teacher at the center, who's been working on our behalf ever since she left, that's where we're at, and they both got this over-the-top enthusiasm, so we're all very excited.
And is Lori here
You made
tonight?
it hard for us.
Yeah.
Is Lori
Good
here
job.
tonight? Is Lori here tonight?
No, her car broke down, and she was in Newport, and
Oh, sounds dependable.
Out of order.
Not fair.
She was not scheduled.
Okay, that's fine.
yeah.
All right.
So that's where we are. So now back to our regular meeting. Public input on any topic that's not on the agenda for tonight.
Well, I did want to kind of go back to where the last question that I left off, which is saving the Children's Center. I don't know, I didn't see that on the agenda, so is this a good time to talk about it?
Well, it's coming up next.
Oh, okay, well, I'll wait till it's
Okay.
on the agenda.
Okay, everybody else good?
Mine's
I saw
simple.
Connie first.
Oh, mine's simple. I'm trying to help Eleanor Reynolds, who's recently widowed. She's got a mudslide. She actually took quite a bit of mud in 2010. We have a pretty good rainstorm coming. I could use some assistance getting the plastic and hay in place before Thursday. And I figured here's a public meeting, so I'd say something. It's off agenda, but I could use some help, and it's a community thing. So there.
Where is that off of what road? I mean, what?
Brookside Terrace.
Yeah, I remember helping
Yeah, well, we need to fix her.
in
So
2010.
3331, if you can do anything, give a call.
Karen?
I'd like to book the community center for a birthday party on April 12th, and
Steve
because
Reichard is.
But it's over, she'll be over 50 people, so she just needs to get your approval.
Pete, is it your birthday, Karen?
You mean,
Whose birthday?
It's my birthday month.
and what would be the
You're on the
difference?
list. Okay, I'm
Because it's
sorry.
over 50 people.
You mean a dollar amount, or,
Well, the dollar amount, it goes up over 50 people, yeah.
and so, so what's the,
Is
what
that
are you
a board,
asking
does
us
it
to
need
do?
board approval or?
Yeah, it does.
President?
It needs the board approval.
So you're asking us to waive the extra fee, or?
No.
No,
Well,
If you'd like to.
I second.
We need the money.
I'm sorry,
Approve the number of you, anything over 50 has to be.
You just-
approved.
yeah.
Oh, okay. Does anybody have a problem with that?
What's open?
Like a management thing, so yeah, we can just.
Yeah.
Well, how many people are going to be there?
It's open to the
500?
public.
5,000.
It's open to the community and my family.
So it could be.
Probably be
You know, it's
3,
no
but
alcohol.
Yeah, right. That's a big idea.
I don't think.
Certain split.
her daughter, her
No,
husband.
it's, yeah, I think
It's
it
a
is.
policy thing that we vote on, I think it's a management.
Not in our policy.
Okay, we're all good with it, Steve, nobody's got a problem up here.
Okay, cool.
We should put that in the policy.
Yeah.
So long as it's
Yeah,
right.
Technically to say that.
Karen, you put in the,
Are you gonna have some?
Karen, what's your
Voice
last
of the
name?
public bands?
Dance
Berninger?
party.
BRINEGAR.
We approved her birthday party that's over 50 people.
And another, one more thing, Greg, the Easter breakfast, Steve Kerrigan wanted on April 20th, so they need it for the 19th and 20th. Is that good?
Can you send me an email too for the Google Calendar to
Yeah.
block those out, and Karen's party too?
Yeah.
Everybody okay with
Is
having
this for
the
me?
Yeah.
Easter breakfast on April 19th and 20th?
On Easter?
Okay. Okay, Steve, we're good.
Okay, cool.
The next item is the consent calendar. I'd like to pull item A1, and if everybody's good, we can leave A2, A3, and A4, which are the other bills and the minutes from last month's meeting.
I did have a question on the bill, I don't have it in front of me, but there was a locksmith bill for like $300 and some. Was that because of the broken key, or Steve?
What's that?
No, there was a locksmith bill last month for like $300 and some. Was that?
Oh, that was, well, locksmith bill. Let me see that.
Something on the, I don't have the finances, but there's
Was it
a,
last month?
in our pack of stuff, there is a bill from a locksmith.
There's the broken
Sure it wasn't Craig Smith?
I don't remember locksmith.
Is this it,
Yeah,
Tom?
maybe it's
Cook Smith Landscaping? Read this before it.
Okay, so there's no landscape bill in this.
Cook Smith
maybe I saw something I didn't see.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Told you that stuff.
That was my only question. What kind of-
So is there a motion to approve the consent calendar item A2, A3, and A4, which are bills, and minutes?
I'll make that motion.
A second.
Shay?
Aye.
Ron? Aye. Craig, aye. And consent item, action item 1, transmittal 0214A. I was gonna propose that we only pay ourselves for one bill, and because we usually don't pay ourselves for 2 meetings, so instead of 500, I'd like to get that.
Just so everyone understands, we normally get $50 a meeting, and we have one meeting a month, but we have more meetings, and we just don't get paid for it. So
So-
what,
Yeah, so when Megan did this, she just automatically did it, and so the motion was, or my request is that we go back. We relinquish the extra money.
we,
Is that okay? So we'll probably.
Aye.
Who moved it? I did.
you did.
Can I do that as the chair?
Technically not.
I shouldn't do it because I'm the chair.
It should donate it to the school.
Okay, I'll make the motion. That we relinquish
I like the way this guy.
and accept only $50 each per month, which will cut the bill from 500 to 250.
And we, and Linda, Shay,
Aye.
and Greg, aye. So,
We're just doing that because it's not even normally on there. Our special meetings, we don't collect any stipend for. So, we're not taking any, so there's none to give back, so we're just approving not taking it.
yeah. Okay, Children's Center Director's report. Lindy, what would you like to tell?
Hi, everybody. Well, I first just want to thank you guys for, allowing me to be part of your community for, these past 6 months. I've come to really meet wonderful people, and at the risk of sounding maudlin, it's just amazing the way this community pulls together and supports one another, and the staff that I've gotten an opportunity to get to know and learn from has just been enriching for me. So I just want to thank you all for the opportunity to be part of your community. I hope that this is probably my last board meeting, but I hope it's not my last time. I started off just volunteering a little bit, so I don't live far. So it's been a great experience, and I know that the Children's Center has a bright future. I know there's doubts, but the way the community pulls together, and now that the center is ready to market, and I've met Lori several times, and I'm very excited about the energy that she brings in and the ideas that she has. She's a go-getter, and with the staff and with Kelly, comes up with these amazing ideas for the school. So I think with those two people, along with the rest of the staff, that it's going to grow. We just haven't had an opportunity yet to actually market, and now it's ready. And I think that it's gonna do fine, and I'm very excited by the new leadership that the board has voted to bring on. I think you guys are gonna be very pleased, and I see a really bright future for the school. So,
I'd like to thank Lindy. She's done a fabulous job. I had the opportunity to go and be on the advisory committee and going before and after, and it's absolutely fabulous. So thank you very much. The other thing I'd like to say is that I think it's really important for us as a community to pull together. I know that sometimes the canyons are likened to factions in the Middle East, but like the Middle East, when there's a movement against them, they all band together. So I think it's really important that when we put articles in the Century, whoever's writing for the Century, that we don't look so divided. So I really make a motion and a plea, I'm pleading you that in order for the Children's Center to survive, we can't write articles where we look so divided and don't look good to the outside community, because we are trying to draw them in. So I ask you, when you write for the Century, to keep that in mind, to support the Children's Center.
and I'll just add that everybody that I've worked with, there isn't one person who I felt like does not want success for this school. Honestly, everyone I think wants this center to succeed. So tonight, I'm not leaving. I'm going to transition Lori and providing Kelly with more hours and a leadership role. And so over the next, depending on how much time she has to give notice, we're going to work on a transition period, which will be a week or two. So thank you all very much, and I hope that I see you. I don't live very far, and so anyway, thank you all.
I made Lindy a deal. I said, okay, I've known her for 15 years or more. She's been a patient of mine. And I said, if you take the job and work here, no co-pays as long as you're on. Her kid's been coming in. So, okay, so next item.
Well, I have something to say.
Children, yeah, we have more children's center. We need to talk about what's happening.
Oh, and on the tail end of Lindy walking out, Lindy, Kelly, and the other prospective director, Lori, were all in the scoping meeting on Thursday night. No one in the room except for Lindy and I and Kelly probably knew that Lori was looking for that position, and she was in the room the whole time, so she heard it all and was still very motivated. So I thought that was pretty cool.
Tell us what kind of stuff have you worked on anything that can be reported on yet?
The fundraising committee has probably been, well, it was the biggest to get together at the scoping meeting on Thursday night, the brainstorming meeting. It's one of the easiest to get started on right away too. So lots of things have transpired since that meeting, and we pulled out a hat that night. You probably all got the email anyway that we put in close to $400 just out of our pockets that night. And then Dennis McHale, who was putting on the Pete Seeger thing, suggested that the Children's Center do fundraising there. And then the cafe, who was doing the food, it kind of morphed into a makeshift fundraiser for the Children's Center. So that was another $320 just out of the blue. So so we're at over $700 on fundraising just from our pockets. I don't know. Got to ask Lindy before she left if anything came in the mail to the Children's Center from any emails that we sent out. I don't know.
So do you want to give a synopsis of what we discussed, the different areas at the meeting?
I didn't. I brought a bunch of other stuff.
Okay,
with me.
well,
Do you
I
want
can
to do
just
it?
off the top of my head.
Yeah.
It really, Linda May led a session on brainstorming, and they pretty much broke it down into 3 categories. One was fundraising, which seems to be the most important and taking off right away. The other, which is really important, is marketing. And we brought up online marketing, which I think is really going to be key in getting our programs and our center off the ground and in the public eye. And the last area was program development in regards to summer programs, 4-H programs, and other kind of programs that can make money. And actually, there was one last area which were complementary type programs, which included after-school programs, renting the center on weekends to church groups and homeschool groups and so on and so forth. So those were kind of the 4 areas that we talked about in order to grow and save the Children's Center.
I'd like to comment. We, as you may know from the last meeting, we engaged the services of a marketing research company, and you will be receiving in the mail, a survey. Many of the things that Linda has brought up are listed in that survey, but there's also a lot of blanks. There's ways we kind of threw out some ideas that here's some things, are you interested in this, how you can help, different ideas. So we ask you to please, when you get this survey, which will be within the next week or so, please fill it out and send it in. And again, there's a lot of areas where you can contribute, and your neighbors, if you have people that you can talk to, if they've got any ideas, there's an opportunity there to present the ideas. They'll come to the board and then we'll take a look at, see what we've got to work with. So there's just a lot of different options open. So I just want to let everybody know that's happening.
Tom, what is the main concept behind the survey? It's not just the Children's Center. What is the main theme?
Actually, the Children's Center is the main concept.
Does it?
Because we wanted to know how many kids that we can find up here and pursue. Now, as long as we're going to be doing that, we added on all these extra things to it. But really the whole reason that we did the survey was to go house by house, who's got kids, you know, I don't want to say turn your neighbors in if they're hiding their kids. But that was the main impetus for it, was how many kids are there. Then we added everything else we could think of as long as we were doing something. Because otherwise it was going to be us going door to door and trying to call everybody, and we didn't see how that was going to work real fast. Yeah.
Okay, well, I wanted to get back to the financial part of it.
We're getting there next.
Okay, can we do that now?
That'd be the treasurer's report. Oh, well, no, that should be now maybe.
Yeah, do it now.
You want to talk about your stickers?
Well, can I just say that at the last meeting, you said that we're 6,000 in the hole a month, or 6,400, whatever the actual number was. And that seems like a huge amount of money to me, based on the income.
We all thought the negative was 2,000 a month, and fundraising has traditionally raised 1,000 a month of that. And in September, when we found out that it was actually 2, and it was actually 2,000 a month the entire year before, and Amy spent down all of the savings in the bank until there was nothing, and didn't see fit to tell anybody about it. So if we had known that, if we had known what we know now a year ago, we would have done some revitalization back then, because, you know, the Children's Center historically is one of the boards to be kind of hands-off.
Well, I guess my question is, next month, there's a $6,500 shortfall, or $6,000 shortfall. So, where's that money coming from?
You gonna stop there?
Well, that's
well,
it.
Out of the 6,000, 2,000 we already knew about.
Okay.
So the other, and so the rest of the money is coming out of reserves.
Whose reserves?
Out of our reserves.
Out of your reserves, okay.
There is no separate entity. We are one unit. The Parks Board and the Children's Center are one thing, tied together by our checkbook and by authority, and that's just how it is. It's part of the Parks and Rec District. So we're funding it. It's an enterprise district, which means it's supposed to break even. If we made lots of money, we'd lower tuition, because we'd fix the place up and do everything we wanted to it, and then we'd lower tuition. But it's not supposed to lose money. And
So it's a loan, in other words. Is it a loan?
Right, effectively,
Wait, if it's a loan, if it has to be paid back, but if you're just paying it, then it's not a
effectively,
loan.
it's a loan to the enterprise district. So in 2005, the board said, we're not giving you any more money, we're not loaning any more money to you. And the director, I think, was removed then, or changed shortly after that. And the board's told them from then on, no more money, sink or swim. Well, in September, this past September, when we found out what was going on, we all looked at each other and said, no, we're not gonna do that. Now, we thought we were on the hook for $9,000. And historically, and you'll see that when we get to the budget part, we usually have $10,000 to $15,000 positive every year. It goes up and down. Some years it's better, and some years it's actually negative. But so cash flow wise, we have the money that we can do that. It's just that we don't want to do it forever. The place needs to kind of pay its own way. It's not supposed to completely lose money forever.
Sure.
So we're doing short-term funding out of our reserves. It'd be so cool, although it's never happened up till now, that we make enough money that we pay the district back. And that goes back to the general fund of the district. But that's where it's coming out of now, is our general fund reserves. The guy in the back.
Tim.
Hi, Tim.
Hey, so that begs the question then that if the Children's Center is tied to the rec center, and there's this history, how do you prioritize what you want to save or what you want to spend money on? Is, in other words, as you as a committee, do you have a prioritization of, well, okay, Children's Center is third, parks are first? Do you have any sort of plan?
We've never had this kind of a problem since 2005, so none of us have been on the board that long to have to, now that's where we are now.
Okay, so subsequent to that, then, you had just mentioned, which is news to me, that there were times where the Children's Center created a positive cash flow that flowed back into the general fund.
No, never.
Okay.
It was always, it rang up debt to until about 05. So until 05, it had ran up debt of $65,000 roughly, and the board at that point told the director, no more money, you make it or you die.
So that changed, and then they came positive or even?
It stayed even. So they might have
Until
been,
about a year ago.
well, they were positive some because she had money that she.
We went into aggressive fundraising at that point.
I know, I understand that. The question I'm asking simply is that if there was a period of time from 2005 to 14, which is 9 years, in that 9 years, positive or negative, has the Children's Center?
They actually were doing well until the school closed.
And
when
the economy dropped.
School closed, economy dropped, the kids are now in Santiago Hills, and they weren't all coming from, they used to, the school would shut.
No, I know.
He knows he was there.
Okay, so,
That young man sitting in front of you
Save our
was there as
school.
well.
Yeah.
so the,
And
So
then,
that-
yeah, the reason why we didn't really see it right away is because they were reporting on an accrual basis, accounting system. So even though that they were billing $10,000 in tuition, they weren't really collecting it, but it was still showing up as a line item on the financials. And then about a year ago, Debbie Johnson and I noticed, I just came on the advisory board a year ago. I asked to see it on a cash basis, and that's when she started to look at it, and we realized it was still being reported on an accrual basis through the time that Amy was there. So once Amy left, we started looking at it on a cash basis, which was about September, and that's when we realized that we weren't really collecting that $10,000 in billables.
Okay, so this is the Debbie Johnson report that I have right here.
Yeah.
And so it shows tuition at $93,470.
the tuition is actually this month billed out at $4,800 for the month.
Okay.
So that's how it's changed since Debbie did that report. We've had enough attrition of extra kids, and not to be completely negative, but really one way to look at it is the parents voted with their feet and their kids aren't there anymore.
Okay?
And how do we make them come back? And that's kind of what we've been trying to do since September, when we first figured out that they had been deficit spending for a year and we didn't. It was kept, I mean, we're not sophisticated businessmen, but I run my own and it doesn't run it negative. But the way we were presented data, none of us picked up on actual, what was actually happening, because didn't ask for money. But she had, so over the course of those years, they had money in the bank. And that's what, you know, they had spent in that last year. So there was money, so they had, what do you think, 20 or 30,000? We haven't actually gone back to a year ago to figure out when that happened, but,
Okay.
yeah.
Well, so I think it's great. Well, I went to the Tuesday meeting, which I thought was terrific, because there was just a tremendous amount of good energy there and a lot of people who were clearly dedicated to helping the Children's Center get through this crisis. I think one of the things that would be helpful for me, and I guess because I think sort of like a businessman, but it's, and I raised this question last time, which is, well, how long do we have? I mean, what's the goal out there? What's the natural cycle of kids? I mean, how long is it really going to take to get, 8 more students, or how many students are needed? What's kind of the pro forma future analysis that would say, look, guys, we're going to keep things going as a minimum until the fall, because everyone's going to have their kids in the school by, the middle of August. That's what we're going to do. If it doesn't succeed by the fall, we're not going to close it. I mean, that would be sort of a business way of thinking about it.
I think to answer your question, Jeff, Lindy did put together a budget, and there is a pro forma built into the budget that has certain amount of growth in it. But now, in looking at it with the new director, we have to look at it and revise it, maybe add new programs related to summer programs and those kind of things, and fundraising. Because I don't think that we're going to, unless we have a huge marketing effort, we could go and capture some kids from outside, which we haven't done,
Yes.
that they're not gonna come by the fall. So I think.
It would take longer than that.
It's gonna take longer.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's good to know.
So,
I just kind of want to know what time frame
Oh,
we're
yeah.
thinking about.
The time frame is this, we're looking at, we're gonna look at the financials monthly.
Yeah.
So each 30 days, for a period of 60 days, we'll look, just say 60 days is the first period that we're gonna look at. If we see some progress, we may invest more money in our situation. After 60 days, if we see absolutely no progress, it takes, according to licensure in Title 22, you have to give the parents 30 days notice. So at that point, even if we give 30 days notice, that buys us another 30 days. And we can say if something miraculous happens, we can then say, okay, we're not closing down, we'll continue on. From that 30 days, so now we're at 90 days, we have to take another 30 days to shut things down. So we're looking at a 4-month period, with the last month not being fully invested in the expense. But we're hopeful that we're gonna get some funds before then.
So the board just said we're not gonna keep it open forever. We want to see something happen in the 60 days.
And that doesn't mean that we won't, close it down, and even there's a potential for reopening if, but we have to cut the bleeding and come up with something more positive in the way of money.
In the front.
My school, we're doing the school newspaper, and I was wondering if you guys would be putting a short little clip in the ad for the children's center. Would that be something that we could possibly do? Would that be fine with you guys?
What school is that?
Tribuco Elementary. Well, we're doing a school newspaper, and we were just wondering if it'd be alright with you to put it in the small.
Well, that's a nice suggestion, thank you. What we're trying to do in this process, and Linda has explained it somewhat, we are searching at this point. We're looking for things that we're going to do at the center, we're looking at maybe new programs, so I'm a marketing guy, and before I market something, I wanna know what I'm marketing. So in other words, if we say, okay, guess what? We have discovered these things are gonna work for us, these are the positive things, then we can build an ad around it and build a concept. At this point, it's just, hey, doors are open, come see us. We don't have a message yet.
We'd love something like that,
Yeah,
the doors are open,
because,
come see us.
newspaper,
that's all you say.
Yeah.
you know, parents will come in and we can put it up in front of our school and, you know, parents will look at it. And, you know, that's a large spectrum you have there. I mean, you probably have at least 30 to 40, even 50 parents come in there. And then, of course, the band's there, you know, picking up students, so,
They may have younger brothers and sisters.
yeah.
Oh, that's a great idea.
Yeah.
Could you send me something on that? Can you let me know what?
Yeah, let's talk, I'll talk to my chief editor and see what,
Yeah,
see what we can divide.
well, I'm just looking
Very
for.
good. It's a good idea.
Cool.
Cool, thanks, Cole.
Am I safe to say that, unfortunately, this bleeding, as we like to call it, you know, financial bleeding of the center, came premature of us accomplishing some goals, and one of those was we fixed up the interior of the classrooms to invite families, and then our next step was to fix the outside of the school age room where we have some rain rotting on the outside of the building, and we were, and get rid of the stuff that we've been trying to get rid of before, inviting lots of families to come in and view our center and take a tour and everything, and that was on the goal list of things to do, and we're before that. We haven't accomplished that yet, and it's still on the list.
Yeah, what we would like to do, Cole, is when we do have people come, we'd like to not only be presentable from a physical standpoint, we'd like to say, here's our programs, here's what we're offering. And at this point, we're still in the throes of getting that, so that's what I'm saying. But we'd be happy to work with you.
Yeah, the sooner you could get something in, that'd be great.
Yeah, the other thing is that the school newspaper, you know, it can't be daily, you know, because the times are straight, so it'd probably be like maybe once or twice a month.
That'd be great.
Yeah.
Wendy?
So, okay, let's say that, I'm not sure I understand it. If we get donations and some fundraising, and we get funds for the children's center, if that's enough money to keep it going, regardless if we have the number of students, okay, so it's just the money right now. Well, if we're running at a child deficit, we'll still keep it going if we have the money.
But at some point, we gotta fix the child
Yeah,
deficit,
and-
or
right,
why
okay.
should we have it open for?
No, I get that.
But that's not gonna happen in 60 days,
Yeah.
or 90 days.
No,
right?
so that's
But
what,
summer camp has proved promising for the children's center with actually
Right.
making money
okay.
and putting it in the bank. So we're gonna heavily focus on summer instead of waiting till summer comes and go, oh yeah, we gotta go do a summer camp.
I think there are a lot of good ideas between the two new people coming in to the positions. They have a lot of great ideas for programs and ways to generate money and raise funds. So it is promising, and we've already gotten a few new days, in student days. So
Yeah.
things are working in the positive direction. I think there's a lot of activity and energy.
So we work on something called full-time equivalents. So a full-time equivalent is one student 5 days a week. And right now, we're at 3.8, and in September, it was more than that. Do you remember how many dropped out since September?
I think it was 5 or 6. Full-time equivalents.
Yeah, so we went from like 6, and we needed to be to 8 full-time equivalents to break even. Now, Lindy and I have been going through the budget and going, what about this line? What about that line? What can we do here? So we've dropped at least 700 in payroll off, and we think we've got another 500 a month in work comp that's gonna come off. So our $10,000 negative is down to 9,000 and maybe it's 8,800. So we're still looking at that. We're still taking Tim up on his offer to redo the siding. We just gotta make that obviously, we're not gonna do anything until after the rain's over this, if it ever rains this weekend or not.
Brett wanted to possibly get started if the weather's clear the following weekend and get volunteers to come and start demoing.
We're gonna have, Tim's gonna come, and we're gonna demo a piece and see.
Oh,
So
okay.
then he can work
Okay.
on our materials.
All right, okay.
So, I need your permission to do this, and I wanna get it going now, I don't wanna wait for committees or anything else. I have been investigating and, talking to various farmer market people, and one of the things we discussed is the farmers market in the area tend to be on Tuesdays and Fridays, and everybody's at work days. Saturday farmers market, I would volunteer to be there twice a month to be a babysitter, but I can't do more than that. But as far as setups, between $30 and $50 a space, if we can get 20 to 25 people, that is a significant amount of money. And it's easy, it's making added use of the time. Now, I want to go to the farmer's market at Kaiser Friday. I don't want to dawdle, I don't want to wait, but I need your permission to approach people and see if they would be interested in joining us on Saturday. And then, the only expense I can see is possibly some signage. And also I need to borrow your tractor, your lawnmower again.
Do we, we've talked about doing the farmer's market because there's more parking at the parking lot at the mouth of Majeska.
Oh, yeah.
Dennis McHale had a project going and had the contacts with the, I guess there's isn't there a farmer's market group or?
Well, I think there's two of them, but I'd like to have Connie go for it and see what we
I
can
think
get there.
Yeah,
One of the things
Check
they
with
needed was
Dennis and see-
water.
it was water.
Was
Hot
what
water.
county.
Was there a hot water thing?
Yeah.
But the farmer's market across the street from me in Tustin, there's no hot water there. There's
Okay,
a porta potty.
okay.
So I mean, the hot water thing, I know there's a certified one, and I think there might be another one, and do we have to be any kind of a one?
Well,
We have water at the children's center.
there's going to be Fullerton, what I wanna do is I'm going to Google Farmers Market Orange County. I'm going to go to all of them, maybe I can get together with Shay and do a flyer. Can we coerce you to a Saturday? Would you like an additional opportunity to market your stuff on a line where we have a lot of weekend traffic and yada, yada, yada?
We'd have to get a really good commitment of the Canyon residents to come and shop, so we could guarantee them customers. That
Frank
they'll drop off.
Fitzpatrick may know something
Like
about it
flies.
also.
Or-
Frank
Yeah.
Frank Fitzpatrick, I
Yeah.
believe,
He does
sells at a farmer's market, so you may check with him also as far as get
I'd
connections.
like Connie to go for it.
Those are
Well,
great.
yeah,
Those are
I'd
great.
like, Connie, if you could do this, if you could put together some like proposal, an outline and say, I got X amount of people that are committed and something, and then come back to us and say, this is what we're working
I
on.
have to have your permission to take step one.
Okay, is everybody good with?
Yeah,
Connie
I
doing it?
go, give her permission to
We
get
have
a
a,
proposal going.
Lisa wants.
Connie, why are you still here?
Will the Capri cover that
Well,
event?
that'll be part of what we have
I
to
mean,
figure out
yeah.
before we're done, yeah.
So,
That's
okay, so
great.
I will come up with a little flyer, I'll buzz it over to Shay, she can buzz it to you guys.
Dennis McHale's already done stuff, so, but he had some reasons we couldn't do it, so let's overcome those.
Oh, there are no obstacles.
He was concerned because it was on county property and wanted to follow strict
Yeah.
guidelines for everything. And
Dennis is a little retentive, I love him dearly.
videos taping.
Oh, Dennis, I love you.
Okay, thank you.
Okay,
Go
but
for it.
that's something we need to do quickly and now, and Nike.
Told you to do.
I have to give this opportunity to say, Bev came up with this idea a couple of years ago. And we couldn't find anybody to do it.
Well, now that I got Campbell off my butt, I'm good.
Oh, I'm sorry, Wendy's next.
No.
Oh,
Oh, I just
Thank
had a
you.
question a while back about Linda's remark about possibly closing the children's center and reopening as something else. At the meeting, wasn't it discussed that if it closes, it goes back to the leaseholder?
it doesn't.
Okay, so there's a kind of a grace period for that?
There's other uses that we can, and we're gonna go talk to him about it. Before anything goes on, we'll be talking to Michael Spence and that guy, but they don't want it back. I asked him, I said,
They don't
well,
want it back in.
I go, if we leave, do we have to tear the buildings down? And he's like, don't tear the buildings down, we'll reuse them for something.
Who is the leaseholder?
The county.
We read the uses on the lease Thursday night, and it was Children's Center, Community Education, Silverado, Majeska Recreation Park District uses, under state, under park and district state law.
However, I would like to point out that if you have kids around, say you're closed, you're open, you're closed,
No, yeah.
parents cannot deal with that.
Exactly.
That will shoot it in the head if you
Right,
close it.
Yeah,
so everybody should understand tonight, we hired a new director. We did not do that with the intent of firing her in no time. The intent is, we got a cool person, we got Kelly who's come on with even better ideas, and a whole motivation to make it work, and that's what we want. And we're gonna spend some reserves for a while, but we do need to be seeing the dollar negative be getting lesser and lesser. Wendy?
No,
Jeff, did you have a question?
Yes, I'm sorry.
Well, maybe you kind of clarified it. I was hearing kind of a mixed message, it sounded like, but maybe you're trying to keep the pressure on in a sense, because what I heard was, you know, in 60 days, we're gonna look at this pretty carefully, and if we don't see some real progress, well, could close. I mean, that sort of sounded like what you were saying, yet all the discussion is all about, we're gonna do this, and we like the ideas, and da-da-da. It's like, it's a little schizophrenic. So what I
Keep
want...
the pressure on, yeah.
Okay, well,
I mean, that's really important.
I agree with that, yeah. But I just want to hear for sure then that you're not going to say in 60 days, either there needs to be some sort of criteria by which you say this is progress. That would be nice to know, like in 60 days, what do you want to see? Do you want to see that we've raised $2,000, or do you want to see that there's been an addition of one kid? I just don't want 60 days to come along. From what I hear, it doesn't sound like it's going to happen, but I don't want 60 days to come along and suddenly have it go, oh, sorry, not enough progress, bye, you know.
Well, I think that you'll see when you see the, our budget, the parks budget, that we only have so much money. So I think that's gonna be the determining factor. So, as Greg said, we only have about $8,000 to $10,000 a year of like cushion to even support the children's center. So if that number is, you know, going away because we're having to supplement their income, then that's going to be the determining factor. So we have to raise the funds. We have to either raise the funds or get the kids, and that number is going to be dependent on, as Greg said, what we can cut, how many children come in. It's sort of a little bit fluctuating.
It just needs to be in a positive incline. I mean, my personal feeling is, as long as it's heading on an upward trajectory, I'm okay with it. And we do have some reserve money that, you know, 10,000 plus or minus a year goes to repaving the parking lot, repaving, you know, doing stuff, you know, big things that need to happen. So we can't do it forever, but this, you know, since I got on the board 3.5 almost years ago, our reserves have gone up a lot. You know, we're cheap, we're not spending any money, we don't have to. You know, so we've got lots of classes going, so we've been trying to do everything we can, really low budget for the district side, and so we've, reserves go up to 100,000. So we've saved like 100. Well, you'll see when we get to the report. There's a reason that it jumped a whole bunch, and that was a one-time infusion of money because some developer is going to build something someplace nearby, and we get a cut of that because he's impacting our neighborhood. But that's a really uncommon thing, and that money, you know, in my mind, would be like, okay, we just got $150,000 we didn't expect. We need to buy something cool with it and build something and do something with it instead of spend it on, yeah, electricity or, you know. So we're still beating on Edison because we want them to lower our electric bill. You know, we're like pushing all buttons we can.
Well, yeah, good and wonderful. I think that's great, but it still, it scares me a little bit. Part of the reason too is that I've talked to various people around. There are people who are interested in making efforts and donating part of their proceeds of various businesses and things like that to the Children's Center, but don't want to do that unless the Children's Center is going to be open. So, right. You know, and also there are a number of things being talked about, but as we all know, it takes a number of weeks
or even months to kind of shift things around to get going. So, again, I'm hearing sort of dire criteria here, you know, about, you know, it doesn't go into, and so it's worrisome a little bit. It would be good to have some kind of a official statement that sort of says, well, we're gonna be here for a while.
Let me address that. We're looking at a lot of different things. We're looking at infusion of money, we're looking at donations, we're looking at commitments, we're looking at kids. The combination of all of those, if we're seeing an upward trend, if we got one kid, we got a couple more coming in, we got some money, we got a commitment, then we see some positive movement, if the combination of all of those will give us an indication, hey, we're moving in the right direction. But if for some reason we go, hey, we're beating our head against the wall and we're not getting anywhere, then we have to look at things in reality and say, hey, how much longer do we want to keep this effort up to see if we can generate something?
Well, okay, although, again, that sounds pretty vague. For example, we've already raised over $700. That's certainly in the right direction. So can we say we've made progress, so we don't have to worry about it anymore?
Well, no, if we,
Well, no, you answer the question for us. Just answer the question. What do you think the answer would be if it was $700 period?
Which
If we only raise $700 period and there's no other growth than that,
well,
what's the answer? You don't have to ask us,
of
do you?
course.
Okay.
But I'll ask back the same question backwards. When is it not enough? When is it not
Well, when we
enough?
raise, if you take 12 months and divide $72,000 approximately by 12 months, I think you'll get the answer. So if that's gonna be enough, but if we're heading in that direction, and we're growing kids, we're getting more kids, I mean, there are a lot of, and we're growing our summer program, and we're, you know, getting donations, there are a lot of variables in these.
Right. Well, I know, I agree, absolutely. That's why having it quite so vague.
Yeah, if you want a blanket number, take $72,000 divided by 12 months, that's the number.
And the number over 12 months, or the number in 6 weeks, or what?
Yeah, that's per
And
month.
so you want to see that in 1
Right.
month, you want to see 1/12 of $72,000.
we want to see a commitment in that.
Well, we want to.
No, we need to see, if we get an extra kid a month, I'd be pretty excited about that.
Yeah.
Well, that's cool. I mean, that's what I'm trying to point out is there's kind of a vagueness here that sounds kind of scary to those of us who really want to make sure it stays there, and everybody's talking about it. I don't mean to belabor this point, but everyone's talking about we want it there, and it's all real positive, but then here's this idea of, well, if we're not coming up, and it's hard to judge sometimes, things take a long time, in more than 60 days and things like that. So I just want to make sure that we have some time to turn the boat around.
Here's the way I look at it. When money comes in, it moves the decision point out. When kids come in, it raises our baseline. We ultimately need to end up with a higher baseline. So when money comes in, the board has to put less money into it, and we can wait longer to make a decision on what to do. So,
Linda.
I'm hearing some concerns from parents, and I don't know the timetable that parents work with on these kind of things. So I'm thinking that as a parent, I'd kind of like to have some kind of a time frame window. I'm assuming that there are certain points in the year when parents have to make these decisions. Can somebody tell me, it seems to me it's logical to say at a certain point, you're gonna make a commitment to be here for at least another X months. You know, so that when parents are struggling about whether or not to enroll their kids, they have some sense of security. What is that timeline?
Yeah, and I think that that's what we're saying. We're committed to being there through the end of the school year. I think we've committed that. But if we're making progress, like the $750 goes towards the progress. If we're making progress the way we think we are, then we're going to go into the summer program. We should know by the end of the school year what it's looking like, I would think. Because it's gonna depend on all of us.
So basically it's 3 months at a time.
Yeah.
Marcy,
I just have a question kind of with that. So does the director know it could close in 4 months?
Right.
She knows that?
Yes.
She took the job?
Yes,
even with
because
that?
she believes she's gonna make it work.
Yeah.
She said she's gonna make it work, and we're like, you're a director.
It was in our meeting the other night. I don't know who it is, yeah.
Kelly said the same thing, so we have 2 people.
Yeah.
I think 90 days even
4 months is totally unrealistic to expect to see much improvement, because you still have to do your survey, you still have to, you don't wanna advertise until the place is fixed up, you gotta do all things, it's not gonna happen in 4 months.
Well, or it depends on what the criteria is, if it's
Yeah.
raising a couple
One
$1,000,
student.
that's good, but if it's raising, what's 1/12 of 72?
6,000.
Oh, okay, it's a 6,000. If it's $6,000 that we've raised by special procedures, then that may not happen in a few months. I don't know.
That's why we.
I have, like I said, I'm doing the farmer's market, I think I can make that push fastest. But one of the things that I think involved in, I got drafted, is a horse camp. And horse camps, if you price them out, they're like $300 a week, or, for like 4 hours. They're expensive. I'm going to have to get the details down. I've only been an adjacent person to a horse camp, but I need some certainty before I go tell 5 people that can I please beg, borrow your horse for this summer, and I'm gonna take care of it, and this, that, and the other. I need a feeling that I can, that I'll be there during the summer, and I have board support. I think it will be a financially viable thing. I'm a pretty good teacher, and kids love horses, depending on our marketing. But that goes kind of to what he says. We need the trust, we need the security to know that if we go bust our heads and beg for favors and pull in favors, that for some reason somebody's not gonna get a little peckish and say, oh, well, we'd rather have a water slide. I'm just pulling examples out of my ass. A water slide or whatever. We need a feeling of security, I think. I've heard that from Linda, I've heard that from just about everybody.
Well, all I know is I didn't have it when I went forward on the chili cook-off at the lake. You know what I mean? It was right when we had already got the email that we were possibly gonna vote to close it, and I didn't let it stop me.
Okay.
I didn't let it stop me. I knew what the value of that in the event that we got through this, we needed to still have that, and so just went out there on a limb.
Tim, I mean, to the same point, people who were thinking they're gonna do, Tim, right? No,
Jeff.
Cole.
Cole.
Tim, no, that's the new Tim, okay. Jeff, so I'll remember people sometime, I don't know.
No, it's nice that you're writing their names down and you wanna know their names, I like that.
Don't discourage, encourage the people who have said, well, maybe I'll do a percentage of my profits, but tell them to start now, because it's just all gotta go forward, and we've all gotta work on it all together at once, or it's not gonna make it.
But I understand your concern. I mean, when I saw, part of the fundraising committee was to have a wine tasting at my property. And I thought the same thing. I mean, what happens if I raise all this money? Because I think I can raise probably $10,000 to $15,000 is what I've raised for the ICL house and for Laura's house. What happens to that money should the Children's Center not, have a good plan or not exist? But I think we just need to move forward and say, it's going to go into the general fund to be designated for the Children's Center. Should it continue, and that's the way it's gonna have to be. I'm gonna have faith in the people that, we voted to hire tonight to move forward.
But I think some parameters would be useful. We had an idea of what the forward planning was, the break-even costs that are needed to sustain, and a forward plan in the future. Part of my revenues are coming in from this fundraising, that's this dollar amount, we all kind of know what it is. Part of mine's coming in from this projection, which budgets are a guess, this projection of kids, and if we had a forward plan saying, yeah, we could sustain this thing, solvency is not an issue, it is right this second, but I've got a plan and I'm getting out of the insolvent period, I think everybody would feel a whole lot better.
Well, we do have sort of a plan, and what it is we're reaching out in a lot of different directions. We can't say we need a corporate sponsor for $12,000. If we don't get a corporate sponsor for $12,000, we fail. We may get 2 corporate sponsors for $6,000 each. We say we need kids. How many kids do we need? As many as we can get. We need to find other uses for the center which will generate money. Connie was talking about a farmer's market. there's other uses. So we don't have, it's not cast in concrete to say we need so much money from this source, so much money from, we're saying, we're
But
going
I
out.
think
and-
you're right, I know, I absolutely agree with you. We need to do projections, and I think that's what we're waiting for, is to hire the new director. Lindy did put a budget together with some of those projections, they are there. But now,
Her projection was at 12,000, 10 or 12,000 a month in income. Well, we're billing at 48, so we need.
yeah.
Right, so we
We've
need
got-
real numbers,
So,
but
right, we need
projections.
some real numbers for projections, and we're looking to the community members like Connie and like Lori, her new director, like Kelly for her 4-H program, like Dennis for the fundraising. And we're gonna take all those numbers and put them in the projection and the plan to move forward. But she's not here yet, and we don't have those numbers from Connie, and
But she'll be here in like
we're
a
getting
week or
our
two.
fundraising committee together, and that's what we're gonna be doing. That's what we're gonna do in the next 30 days. That's why we're looking at it in 30-day increments. We're just not gonna let 30 days pass and not do anything. We have to take action now, all of us.
I have a question. Neighbors next door to me, they just sold the house and new people moved in, and they have 2 little kids. One is 4 months old and now the boy is 5 years old. Dawn Lynch, or Borgett, sold the house. The mother didn't even know about the Silverado school. Why don't the realtors, when they see they have kids, push it?
I want my money back. I took,
Yeah,
they
no.
took them, I actually took the realtors out to dinner, who were the most active. I said, thank you for promoting it, and if she hasn't said anything, I want my money back. Give me my dinner back.
I just talked to Dawn like 3 days ago, and she's like, yeah, I'm telling everybody about it, so we'll go beat her up.
She's on our advisory committee also.
I saw she didn't know about that, and well, the boy's going to some other school and she really wants him to finish, but he's a full-time student, like 5 days a week. And I tried my best, I don't know, somebody should go there and knock on the door. And like,
But you're right, we gotta get in before they go and look for other places to put their kids in.
yeah, well, I don't know, he's 5, so is he gonna go to
Yeah,
kindergarten
he's
now?
gonna go to
Yeah, maybe
kindergarten.
he's
Then
just
you
out.
speed.
But
That's
after
still
school
a 5-day
program-
week after, a 5-day week after school, that's a half kid. It's a great number, we want them.
So
Cole, just before Cole, I wanted to thank you for that letter that you put in. It was you that put the letter in the next door Silverado.
Yeah.
She did a nice letter. If you guys aren't on that, it's interesting. You get more stuff than you want to know about. But Marcy really talked about the experience with her kids there and how wonderful it's been. And I'm trying to think how we can take that and put it maybe in our brochure and take it to other, that kind of information to other places.
She's our blogger.
Yeah. Okay, so if you guys don't mind, let's go to the treasurer's report where you can have some more interesting sad news.
I mean, everybody can see the numbers, what I have now the full report, full details for the Children's Center and the Park District on the website now. So there's about 10 pages after this, with all the details, and a P&L for both the district and the school.
I have 3 more copies of the P&L. This goes from 2007, July to January 14. So it kind of gives you, if you go right to the bottom line on the last page, could you give those to whoever's interested, Linda? It goes to the,
I'm going to get it.
and actually, who's the lady you said that wanted to pull it over there?
That's Francisca right there.
Oh, I thought
Give
it
her
was
one of those.
Francesca. Okay, so the interesting thing is, when I said, you can't look at these numbers and not figure out what they mean, because in the 2012-13 year, which just got over in June, our positive net income was $155,000, which sounds really cool, but we had a $198,000 one-time infusion. So somebody around here, and we think it's those people that are going to build the homes on.
Saddle Crest?
What's the street that goes over Glen Ranch? We think it must be the Glen Ranch
That was the
people.
only approved housing development around here.
Yeah, so somehow we get $198,000 from those guys because their development's gonna bother us and we get mitigation money. Maybe their people might come and use our park once a week, who knows? But
Is that a one-time?
yeah, it averages about 30,000 a year if we look it out, and I've got that on the back of the next page, which is our, we'll get there in a minute, our preliminary budget stuff. So, you know, if you look at the bottom of the page, you know, in June '08, we made $5,700, the next year 15, the next year we lost $43,000. Wasn't, Linda, 2010, that was the flood damage, right?
But this is to June 2010, and that was December.
No, it did not come in 2010, and very little of it came in 2010, most of it came in 11 and 12.
Well, that's even worse then, because we lost $43,000 one year, and it wasn't with their big expenses. Then we had a 2,000 positive, 12,000. The giant income of 198 when it would usually be 30. So if you took 198 minus 30, if you took 168 off, we didn't actually make any money that year either. And then this last year we made 65,000, or that's this year. But that doesn't include the last 5 months of expenses, and it includes almost all the income. So there, you know, take that home look at it, but that's the Parks District budget. Now here's budget for, Megan took the money we've spent this year and prorated it out in the income that she expects us to get. And Linda? So, right now, Megan's projected budget for this fiscal year is that we're 23,000 in the hole, but we've already given, but a big portion of that is the money that's gone to the Children's Center already. Well, she's estimating 26,000 for the whole year.
Oh, enterprise fund.
So it would probably be a little more than that, but maybe that's when she annualized it through June.
Yeah.
Well, that's through June, yeah.
That's through June.
So this page, this one-page that ends in negative 23,560 is actually it's not a P&L for this year, it's a proposed budget. And you can see it's, part of the reason is 26,000, she's allocated at what she expects we would spend on the Children's Center, and a negative is 23, so our negative comes from that. Okay, now, when you're on that first page, and you can go to the income where it was 198,000 that one year, last year, she says that we usually average, where is it? Yeah, 30 to 38,000 is the usual year. So that's the number that we use in our budget process, and if we get something extra, we'll go repave the parking lot, or we'll do, you know, something re-route for. So
this looks like the big one is actually on the, not a development, but a review, which is different.
Excuse me, let me.
It's a part of both.
We've had since 2010, we had a review when we first got on. We got 96,000, 98,000 out of that review. And it looks like we got more with this one. So it's a combination of what we normally get plus a review of we should have got. And that's what they do. They look through and they say these are the park fees that this district got, and this is what they should have gotten. And I'm surprised they reviewed it again.
Was that between 2010 and 12?
No, 12 and 13.
12 and 13?
No, that was during this year.
And then we had one between 10 and 11.
Oh, I see, okay.
Linda?
This category 6210, property taxes current secured, is what your tax income is based from the property taxes. That's a distribution that comes in periodically throughout the year. You know, when it's due, it's collected, and they play with it for a little while and hold on to it, and then they pass it off to you?
I think it's actually those first five, all the ones that start with property taxes are what
That's
we all
correct.
pay property taxes.
That's correct, those are
The
all,
60, the fourth one is the one that averages 30 to 38.
That's
the
69.
the first one is your largest one, that's that's the physical property taxes. The others are unsecured, that's like property taxes on boats and trailers and that kind of stuff.
Right.
The prior secured is when they're collecting back years.
Right.
Prior unsecured is when they're collecting back years on boats
People
and
that didn't
trailers.
pay on time, yeah.
Right, so I'm not sure what the supplemental is, but the other tax.
That's when you first buy a house, you have to pay a difference in the fee on the first year.
But
For
your other
however
taxes is what the county decides to pass through to you from other property tax collection.
Right, it's what they call park fees.
It's two parts, and I have a page of that. So the year that we made the 190 whatever thousand, so here's all the places that we get money from, this 2.5 pages. We got $142,000 from that H&S thing, that's the the pass-through money we got was $51,000 in the 2012 ending year. So that's more than we usually we get 30 to 38, so we made a little more. We got a special assessment from somebody building some new project of $142,000 that year. And so that's the $142,000 is only if somebody wants to develop, and we all know there's not a lot of developable land around. So that usually averages $30,000 to $38,000 a year. The pass-through money, can you explain the pass-through money better, Linda?
No.
It's money that they give us because of some reason, and that's what averages about 30 to 38,000.
And that's what I think it is that when developments go in, they assess a fee for parks in general, and that's our cut.
I think you're wrong.
We think. Well, we don't know. Oh, no. You mean like when I built my house, we had to pay a park fee?
Yeah.
I can't imagine $30,000 in new homes up here.
I don't think so.
My fee was pretty small.
I have always suspected that they have always collected more property tax revenue than what they have allocated to us, and they periodically decide to give it to us and make us feel good.
So that's what makes it hard to budget. That's why we budget on the low end. So that's where we're at. So this is the number that we all need to do because we have to have a special agendized notice budget meeting to adopt it.
So are all these forms that you're reading off of on the website?
No, I just got these from Megan.
You've got these like at 6 o'clock tonight.
Okay,
Yeah.
will they be?
They'll be on.
Okay,
Oh,
and
actually, no, this is on.
Okay,
I
and
put it on.
I know where, I know, we ask every week, but where is
there's
the
a-
website?
Where it says agenda a minute, you go at the top of the page and it says treasurer's reports. I just put it up tonight.
All about the SMRPD, and then a box comes down, when you put your cursor on it, it highlights a box, and then you can click on agendas, archives, and other.
But there's 1,000 agendas, I mean.
But they're,
I just put it in a Dropbox this afternoon.
Oh, okay,
on
well,
the
that's,
website.
I know it's by date,
Yeah.
right?
they're all
By date.
dated,
They're all by date.
yeah, by year.
Go in, it
and
doesn't
like-
say budget or treasurer's report or anything.
Yeah.
Some of them do.
It does, I
Other,
put links at the top that
other
says
documents.
agendas and then budget reports and other things. There's a link, if you just click on that, it'll take you down to the
It's
bottom
not
where
that,
it is.
yeah, it won't
And
be.
then it'll say treasurer's report 125, treasurer's report 228.
They're all by date, so it's pretty
The
easy.
newest one is at the bottom of the list because of the way it date sorts. That's what makes it kinda hard.
Well, I just finished it.
Yeah, well, that's why.
Go in Dropbox and sort that one by date, because the one I just put in will be at the top when you do the date sort the right way. Okay,
Do we do this? Can we get an okay on this?
Oh, reading the back of this is from Megan, is that
right,
correct?
she tried to Google to tell us what it was from, and
Oh, what it looks to me like is that, It has to do with the money that they were holding back because of redevelopment money, that the state closed down the redevelopment fees, and the county had to do something with its redevelopment money that it was holding on to. And some of it was determined to belong to the districts, and they handed it out, and then some of it, they said, oh, you haven't obligated it, so the state says, we're taking it. The county and the state have been arguing about it ever since.
So that makes that 142,000 a real one-time.
A one-time event.
So we would have been obligated?
No.
No, it's
Just
not,
leftover money.
it's not restricted money, it's money that the county was trying to offload, basically.
Was that last year?
I know, it looked like it was 2000, last year, not this.
When the redevelopment.
Right.
Okay, so, next item.
Is it the
Memorandum, no, other district business.
Well, did we have the summarized treasurer's report? Is that accurate then?
It's based on the numbers that I.
As of 1/31/14.
This is 130.
Oh, okay.
I do these on a monthly basis.
Yeah, okay. So last month, we talked about transferring the $3,000, initial $3,000 for Christmas in the Canyon startup back into the general fund. Yeah, we did. We talked about it.
We talked about it, but we're not gonna do that. We're gonna keep it in the Christmas in the Canyon.
Well, I thought last time, the rest of the board said, no, it sounds like a good idea, and it should come back into the general fund.
Eventually.
Well, that's not how I understood it last meeting.
Yeah, I don't think it's ready. I don't think it's time.
Time to what?
Well, next year they're gonna need money again, maybe after next year.
$4,000?
It's all in our account. It's not Christmas in the Canyon's money. It's all SMRPD money, right? It's all in our account.
It's just earmarked for that.
Right. Now,
And when the committee gets together, then they'll decide, they'll be able to see this and say, let's do something special. So that's why that's there.
Well then.
okay, next item. Under other district business, we got a memo.
I have one question.
Yeah.
So, is there a budget? Do you have an annual budget?
This is our next step for our annual budget. It's this page.
Okay.
So that's what Megan gave us today, and we have to have a special meeting, and Bob's gonna teach me how to publish it in the right newspaper and do all that stuff.
Okay.
But we haven't sat down with it yet.
All right, thank you.
So, kind of to speak to Jeff's question, we knew that there's roughly 10,000 a year, and that's why we were okay at the start of September to say we could give 1,000 a month to the Children's Center, because we knew we had that much on an annual basis. It just got away from us. So we got a memorandum back from our attorney. I actually got it in December, and we had the December meeting was going to be an abbreviated meeting, and then last month we got so busy on the Children's Center, we pretty much dropped all the other agenda items. So I gave this to the board. She had marked it originally confidential, attorney-client privilege, but I talked to her today and she said, no, that's not true, give it the whole. So we'll post this in Dropbox, and I don't know if we have a place really in the website for it. But if anybody wants it, I'll have it in Dropbox.
I can make a spot.
By tomorrow.
I this as miscellaneous documents.
Okay, we have a copy, so put it in. So we all should read it over, and then we can talk about it at our next meeting.
Yeah, I think it would be cool, since we just got it, that we talk about it at another meeting.
Yeah, good, that's what I thought too.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay, next item, Naturalist for You Partnership. I was thinking that in light of how much money we're spending in the negative on the Children's Center, that we not continue to fund Joel's hike stuff at $200 a month. And so that's what I wanted to propose to you guys. I mean, I like him, I'd like to keep doing the sponsorship with him, but I think we're already expending so much money, we need to cut back wherever we can.
I was gonna say, why don't we as a board not take our monthly, that's another $250.
I have already brought my check. I was gonna sign over to Joel. As recreation chair, And knowing how important the hiking programs are to our recreation and how many people from outside our district his programs bring in, and it's not just Joel, it's his other volunteers that work with him, and all of the proactive stuff on Meetup and everything, it gets our name out there. I think it's really beneficial. If $200 is too much a month, I mean, if we just reduce the amount we were doing, that would be a compromise, but I personally don't want to suspend it, and I'm willing to give my $50 a month to Naturalists for You, or to SMRPD, or Naturalists for You, for at least, that hiking program. We're coming out with a new brochure, and we have SMRPD hiking on there, and I don't want to do that.
Well, one of the things that came up, I got an email from Marcia Judd, I think her last name is, maybe not her last name, but I guess we sponsored a class for her at one time, and there was some request to sponsor. It was called Bacon Take, I think it was.
It was done at the 4th of July.
Right, and I got a lot of emails and pictures, and it looked great. So maybe what we can do is we can look at each class individually and sponsor them individually as we have money, and to see how it's gonna promote the SMRPD. Yeah, I like the idea of continuing to sponsor classes, but I think we have to be, we have to look at each one and be fair about them too. So I know there's been some requests for other sponsorship, and I don't know that we necessarily have the money, but if we do have the money, I think it is a Parks and Rec affair, so we should sponsor them, but on an individual basis, I would propose.
And if I could give some history, years ago, Debbie Johnson and the board at the time sent out a marketing letter to the community and asked what programs, one of the questions was, what programs would you like to see? And yoga and hiking were the top two. And so yoga got implemented, and then Joel came along and we grabbed onto him, do our hiking, because we as board directors can't sustain a hiking program. So it met our needs and community needs at the same time, so.
I mean, I'm not adverse at all to Joel doing it. What I'm saying is that my negative is like more than $6,000 a month, and we need to stop whatever we can stop for at least a while, and make that work, because, and to be more blunt about it, I don't think that we've gotten as much, I don't know what I expected, but as far as recognition for the district, having Joel do the hikes and have, all it says on his thing is, they all look the same. If you look really close, you can see SMRPD sponsored hike. So it didn't really change what he did, it's just that we're helping to defray his costs, and as a Park and Rec thing, I think it's a good idea, except that we're so broken, we're spending money so fast right now, that I think we need to cut all expenses possible. And I actually mentioned it to Joel last December, and I said, I'm gonna propose this, I just want you to know in advance, so we're not like giving you no notice at all that it might happen. So I just don't see that we've gotten a lot of bang for our buck out of, I don't see it's changed anything that Joel's done by having the $200 a month from us, except that he put on SMRPD, and I like Joel, but we're bleeding so much right now. That was just one thing I looked at as I started going through these budget numbers for Megan, because it's like, there'll be more stuff that I'm gonna propose that we cut later too.
Well, I think this is a good opportunity that we're all donating and we're all contributing and trying to save the Children's Center. Perhaps Joel can continue his hikes and just not take the $200, and that would, and he can still do the hikes. We're not stopping him from doing the hikes.
Yeah.
Well, he called it a suspension, not a.
Yeah, I think if we're gonna donate our checks, I think it should go to the Children's Center.
What other people are you supporting here that put on programs and stuff? Aren't there other ones?
No, we did yoga for quite a few years, but that changed last year.
Yeah, they're self-supporting. They give
Well,
us
we're
money. We're
actually asking them, it's an 80-20 program, so they give us 20%. And
So you don't charge them
But
rent?
Joel doesn't charge for his hikes.
Yeah, I know, I think that Joel's hikes are great, that's what we should stand for, stuff like that.
Well,
And to say, we're not gonna support him,
No, I agree, and I like him, and I wanna support him, we'll leave him on the website, be a sponsor, whatever we can do, but we're spending $6,000 a month that we didn't have.
And he's the only thing that we pay for.
Yeah.
Were we making contributions to warrior hikes and all this other stuff?
No, they're paying us.
They pay
Giving
us.
checks. The Warriors.
Well, this board sponsored
Yeah.
$50,
Yeah.
I think, once to
I
the Warriors.
remember.
And I think we
Oh,
should
yeah,
still
we-
continue to evaluate things on an ongoing basis, but we need to look at each program individually, I think.
Go ahead.
I'm not a hiker, but I've seen Joel and I've seen the groups of people that he brings into the community that brings money to our businesses, that is an outside source. So it's more of like a community outreach, and he's bringing them in. And, you know, the return that they'll return and hike here and spend their money here, whether it be, you know, at the market, the cafe, you know, whatever it may be, come to the summer concerts, you know, it's giving us more exposure. And I think that would, you know, that's very beneficial, because I don't see any other kind of a group around anywhere where I've seen bring in the people like he does.
Can I read something written by a guy named Scott Williams? I don't think I'm mistaken. He said, "When I arrived at the meeting spot, I wrongly assumed that the barefooted guy couldn't possibly be going on a hike. The night was gorgeous, great group, and this motivated me to spend the next few days in this region, starting with a beer after the hike at Silverado Cafe, where I learned about the next night's event, for Pete's sake, tribute to Pete Seeger in Majeska, which blew my mind and was fun to see lots of the same folks from the bar at the cafe. Thanks for reintroducing me to this area, which is ridiculously close to my home, and I need to spend more time here for so many reasons." And it was really cool, and I ran into the guy twice, and he just was so in love with our canyon, just from seeing a meetup and coming up here and hiking with Joel.
And so, I like Joel, I like what he does, but I don't see that us giving them any money is changing any behavior of anybody. And we're out $6,000 a month right now. What's changing behavior? Scott?
Well, she just
No,
read
sorry.
it, she just said it.
No.
It's what
This,
our.
no. How did the guy find out about this? How do you think he found out about this hike?
Well, I don't know.
Well, yeah, I know how he found out about it, is Joel has his stuff posted.
Yeah.
Us having our name on it
Well-
is not doing anything to help Joel get more people to those hikes.
But it's a canyon thing, and whether it's going, they're realizing this SMRPD, it's just the exposure for the canyon, such a positive thing for the canyon, that you should be in favor of that, you should support it. You should tell him, we're not gonna give you $200 a month, it's so
Scott.
little.
Scott, go ahead.
I wish Joel were here, but yeah, my question would be, if SMRP doesn't sponsor his hikes, would he do anything different? Would he go hike someplace else?
Okay, so when we first started doing this, it took us like 3 to 6 months before we finally said, Joel, like, where are our sponsored hikes? Because he has this whole list of hikes that come out. Oh, okay, so the next month, the 4 hikes that were ours now were listed. He changed his wording, SMRPD was inserted on the name of each of those 4 hikes. I mean, so, I don't know that what we were, you know, it wasn't doing anything, if it wasn't for the $6,000 a month negative we have, I have no problem with keeping him going just like it
I wonder what the personality of the canyon is morphing into.
Tim?
So if they're SMRPD sponsored hikes and we're paying Joel to do that, then is he a contractor or employee of SMRPD?
He's a nonprofit.
We just donate to his nonprofit.
Yeah, he has an actual 501c3.
So where's the where's the liability line in those hikes? Is it with Joel? Does Joel carry insurance, or do we carry it through Capri, or? Yeah, what?
Him to do the hikes.
Yeah, what?
So
What's
that
the
means
answer?
he's covered because it's an SMRPD hike.
Yeah, so I guess we would be the people that are insuring those hikes.
So we're insuring Joel and we're paying him.
Just on the SMRPD portion of the hikes, not on all of his hikes.
So it's 4 hikes a month.
So we're paying his insurance and paying him.
So, yeah, so
We would have
when
paid
we
insurance
started,
anyway.
I'm sorry?
It doesn't cost extra.
It doesn't cost any extra.
I'm sorry?
The insurance doesn't cost extra. They're not charging us extra.
Yeah, our insurance just
We're
covers.
automatically covered on things that we do that are within
Even
that
if we don't
compass.
pay him and we sponsor him, He'd still be covered, though. You just.
Right.
So,
Has to be called.
just gonna ask a question. If Joel has a non-SMRPD hike and he hikes up in the Cleveland National Forest, and he charges for that?
He accepts, as far as I know, he accepts donations on all his hikes.
If people are free to give a donation to Naturalist for you to go on one of his hikes, but they don't have to.
Okay.
Tell me your name again.
Karen,
Here.
why can't you fuse it together? I mean, there's been a lot of talk about the Children's Center. Well, I think, you know, hiking and Naturalist for You is a good partner because he can interact with the children. He could do, you know, so if you did maybe once a month, maybe once every 2 months, a parent and child hike in the name of the SMRPD, and then that, whatever donations are collected goes right straight back. I mean, I just think that it's exposure to the canyon, which is what you guys are trying to promote, the Children's Center, because there's really no value in the Children's Center unless you live in the canyon. It's gonna have to be marketable from an outsider's point of view of what you offer that none of the other children's centers offer. The one unique thing that we do have is nature. So, I mean, that's why I think you guys might really want to consider the partnership there.
He is a partner with the Children's Center.
But I'm talking about promoting within the elementary
Yeah.
schools or, you know, doing it that way.
Kelly, he doesn't take any of the kids on hikes now.
But that's what I'm recommending.
He does when we line him up in a program.
Yeah.
And I think we should continue to look at those on an individual basis, yes. So I think we're in agreement there, on an individual basis, but just not on a regular basis.
So we've been front, Linda.
I just wanna, I have to say this bothers me, and I'll just say it. I just wanna point out that you're spending close to twice how much money you would be paying Joel to do a marketing survey that is highly questionable in terms of what benefit it's gonna be, and highly questionable in terms of how much shopping was done for that marketing survey, and yet, and is probably friends with the board member who is asking to do this project, and at the same time, you're turning around and cutting funding to somebody that's doing exactly what you're supposed to be doing. Don't you find this a little odd?
I'd like to respond to that. I take offense to that. First
Go
of
ahead,
all,
be offended.
first of all, you call it highly objectionable. It's only highly objectionable to you.
I don't think so.
There are, well, okay, you and your friend.
Well, there are a lot of other people that
The
think it's
reason
questionable.
the reason why we're doing this survey was presented to the board, which understood it. The reason why we're doing it is to involve the entire community, not just a handful of people that are in this room. We want to find out what the community wants to do with the Children's Center and what their ideas are. So we want to reach out. In order to do diligence, we have to be able to say we've explored every opportunity to involve the community in that Children's Center. Not just 6 people in the room and what they think, but what the entire community wants. That's what the survey was for and was designed for. I did do a search for various research companies, and I found only one that was willing to do it at a reasonable price. Most surveys cost a lot of money that we can't afford. The survey is going to be mailed out to all of the mail addresses in the community. The board had an opportunity and they looked at it, and we've got some good comments from Shay and some other comments that are included in this survey. When you see the survey, you may change your mind and say, well, this was a pretty good idea. You haven't seen the survey yet. So my point is, the survey was part of this overall operation in order to find out what we can do to help the Children's Center. It isn't just getting a handful of people in the room and say, okay, give me your idea, then we'll go with that. We want to involve the entire community. That's what the survey is.
Okay, I want to be outraged at how much you minimize the people that show up and talk about what they're interested in. It's the people who show up time and time and time again that get things done in the canyon, first of all. And second of all, there were a lot of questions about it. And third of all, please consider this an official Freedom of Information request, open records request. I'd like to see your notes on the comparative analysis of the different marketing companies you've contacted?
I called them
I want to see your
personally.
notes, please.
You want your money though.
You have to give me your notes. You were supposed to take notes. In order to follow appropriate procedures, you should have taken notes. They should be available as part of the public record.
I did not take notes. I called
Well,
several
then you are in
companies that I was
violation of the
familiar with.
operating procedure.
Okay. So
Then it's out of order. Then what you're doing is
Out of
totally
order.
out of order.
Okay, so we're,
I just have one more question. The cost of the survey, is that gonna be, allocated to the Children's Center?
No.
Okay, so it's not gonna affect their numbers?
right, before, we're gonna be offering the position to, and talking with our HR consultant about, making sure our contract with Lori is done correctly. Anybody else have any reports?
I do, that's why I
Oh,
do
yes.
my, chili cook-off, we have to.
That's why I skipped you, I knew you'd have a report.
Oh, okay, so, like I said before, got started really quick on the chili cook-off, which to me seems kinda late. And then it, being a board director, and then used to being at the Children's Center, running it with Amy, I'm in a whole different weird position now. So, what we thought on the phone today would be to like bring it under maybe fundraising committee of the SMRPD working with the Children's Center. Checks would be written to the Children's Center for the booth spaces, chili booths, everything the same. It's just that it won't be the director running it. I'll be like the head person on it and working with all of the same volunteers as before. Jeff Wilson's gonna work with the music and stuff like that. So I revised all of the documents for everything to come to P.O. Box 8, so that way Bev will, you pick up the mail, don't you, Bev? Yeah, so Bev will pick up the mail, and then the checks will go to the Children's Center, and the vendor application, chili booths or whatever, will come to me, and I can organize with whatever team is going to help with that. So,
You already sent out a press release on that all the checks were to be sent to you.
yeah, it was.
We had a discussion today and
Yeah,
she's changing things.
what my thinking was.
Oh, she's changing things.
No, what my thinking was, I'm not at the Children's Center all the time. So when the director ran it, the children, she was at the Children's Center to pull, keep it organized
Well, I think the
separately.
board's thinking was maybe that money should go directly to the board or the children's
Well, the
center.
money was, everything was written, that the checks would be written in
Yeah.
silver on the Children's Center. I just had P.O. Box 616 so I could organize the booth spaces and stuff. That wasn't a good idea.
So I guess this was all discussed by the board, because I don't think I've missed a meeting, and no one said anything about who's in charge of the chili center, the chili cook-off, when the dates are, any organizational details of it, and all of a sudden I get an email that says, boom, here it is. With no input from anybody else.
Last month I
Am I missing
announced
something? Did I miss something?
No, she announced it last month, and when I got the flyer, we had a discussion today, and so she's bringing it to the board for
after the fact
presentation today to be approved.
I think.
It's a learning experience.
I think we should handle the finances the way we do it in Christmas and Candy.
Yeah, I think so too.
Have a separate board member there.
I asked her to see if
That'd
Robin,
be-
You can even do that.
Oh, no, I prefer not to. I don't do that with the other fundraisers. I don't like to.
I asked her to call Robin Chapman and see if she'd be willing to
Oh, yeah, there
volunteer to
you go,
do it.
because Robin's amazing.
Yeah. So-
Yeah, she did the Christmas in the Candy Store, an excellent job of documenting all the numbers.
Fortunately, this is a fundraiser that doesn't have a lot of overhead costs ahead of time. So there's not need for a big budget to start off with. It's not like that. No.
She doesn't. Cool, isn't it?
Is there
Aren't
a
you glad,
committee,
Wendy?
Shay? Is there
I
a
need to
chili
be glad.
cook-off committee? And are there committee meetings?
Not yet, but I talked to Jeff, Jeff Wilson, he's been doing the sound and the stage and everything, and helping with the bands and stuff like that, and then, need to work with parents. Usually it's been volunteers, staff, and parents from the Children's Center.
Is
And,
that Jeff Wilson, that guy, Jeff?
yeah, so we got to pull in staff and parents to help with it again for, getting the raffle,
It was really helped.
maybe both Wally and I, if you had kind of what needs to be done list in order for us to kind of to do that up among the staff and pull in what parents we think would be a good fit for different,
So far, all I've done is preliminary stuff because I got with Amy on the phone and she said, you gotta do this, so.
So maybe we
started on
really
it.
need a committee meeting
Yeah.
with the children's center.
And thank you for doing it.
It would be good because my pet peeve with this event is that it's always been the big fundraiser of the Children's Center, and we know $3,000 is not a big fundraiser. That's like drop in the bucket, and that's an excellent venue, and to have it handed to us for free for one day, we need to squeeze every penny out of that. Unfortunately, we don't get to have beer concession. That's the one stipulation they have, is they sell the beer.
They keep the beer money.
That's their payback for giving it to us. So we get a $3,500 or $3,800 venue, and that's valuable, and it's easy to find, and people love to go there, and it's free for the day to us, so we should be able to pull lots of people.
Have you considered charging for parking?
We do charge $3 for parking.
Good.
Because the Children's Center needs approximately $6,000 a month, I'm trying to put in perspective the kind of fundraisers that are needed and the amount that each type of fundraiser would make, and how many fundraisers are needed to make up that 6,000. How much does that chili cook-off produce?
Let me address your overall question.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out, as far as how much money does the
Historically, somewhere between $3,000 and $3,500 so far, but I think they were kind of small.
So historically, for the Children's Center, we've depended on about $1,000 a month in donations, about $12,000 a year. And this is one of those $12,000 a year.
That's right, I'm just trying to put in perspective because there's been the discussion of we need fundraisers, and there's been, different businesses will donate a portion of their proceeds for, toward the, I'm just trying to figure out, because we know how much work and how big the chili cook-off is, and the magnitude, the energy, and the resources, and the return it takes. How many of those? So we'd almost need two chili cook-offs a month. I'm just trying to see, in order to make up that kind of a deficit.
But this is historically income that we've relied on to keep the Children's Center
Oh, I
going.
understand. I'm just trying to figure out what, as far as what kind of, the magnitude of events for fundraising that are going to be necessary.
This is a small pocket thing, and so if you have a balance with something like a dinner where high rollers were coming with big checks, you can offset the $5, $3 for parking and $5.
Yeah,
You're having the same problem Jeff had earlier, because he's like, well, what do you need? And it's like, well, we need all of it.
We need all of it.
We have a separate committee that doesn't involve most of the rest of us doing it, so.
That's what I'm just trying to figure out as far as, because I've seen, you collect, 700 here, or there's talk of having the 10% of the cafe on Thursday night, which I figure.
That's not gonna be much.
It's exactly, at $10, 50 dinners at $10.
No.
Is $50. I'm just trying to figure out, is there, what kind of energy and resources are going to be needed to realize 2 chili cook-offs a month?
We're not going to be doing that. Shay and her friends are doing this in the same way they've done it before. We're just bringing it under the SMRPD
Right, I know,
umbrella.
I'm just trying to figure out, what kind, put in perspective.
We need another kind of fundraiser too.
We need corporate sponsors.
We need corporate.
The Abbey, did you talk to about the Abbey?
They saw it on the drop-down list on everything, on that.
I think that a lot of people hate the Abbey for what they're doing. So why doesn't the Abbey give you money every month just to have us on their cage?
I talked to the Abbey, they're considering it.
But they should totally give you $12,000 a month. They're rich.
I don't think they have that many parishioners coming.
I was just saying that they're rich. I gotta go, guys.
It's not state
Thank
supported
you.
like it was.
Thank you for hanging.
Oh, sorry.
Got it?
I'll just wait back there.
Here, let me get this.
Okay, so you need,
Oh, you mean right now? Oh, yeah, we have this.
so Shay wants to bring this event under SMRPD and run it like we do Christmas in the
I
Canyon.
think it's fine, and we get Robin to do the books, and I think we'll be happy with that. So you want a motion?
Yeah.
Okay, I make a motion that we handle the Chili Cook-Off fundraiser with Robin and aspect of the books.
We'll have regular meetings.
This is agenda item, the third agenda item that we had.
Okay. So, how do we have that? So now that it's official, you could have a chili cook-off food.
We had it, so
I
Tom,
second.
Yeah,
I second.
Ron, Shay, Greg, aye. Okay, so it was unanimous.
Okay. And, okay, so the Recreation Committee has been super duper duper busy. And Kevin left, but he's been working with Linda and I on a new recreation flyer and brought in some stuff for tonight, so I'm gonna pull it out. It started like this, which is beautiful. Fell in love with it right away, and then I thought, well, you can't really put it in a little kiosk this way, and asked him to try to do something that stands up that can go into a kiosk. Yeah, here.
You took a separate sheet.
This is a preliminary one. This isn't what it is right now, but this was the first thing that he brought me. But he thought that I really love this, and I really love the stand-up one too, and so did Linda. And so he suggested maybe we wait till winter to do this, and start with a spring-summer that's more springy, green and everything. So we've collected as much information as we could. We got a lot of stuff from the previous flyers for text and everything, and I gave it to Kevin, and he dropped it in.
I want us to tell you about typos, or you're not ready for that yet?
Did you see any on it?
And the previous-
Oh, there you go, good, good. We need it all. We need all that type of stuff. So this, yeah, so this is for you guys to look at to give us pointers. But we will be on a deadline for getting that out in time, and then also hoping for an ad.
That's one thing.
Oh,
at a
sorry,
time.
okay, one at a
So is this complete? Is this it? Or is
Does that
there
have
more?
what the stuff that you put in today that you asked for?
Yeah.
He might have printed those before.
Okay, yeah, there are two more, at least two more classes, and I was waiting for Dana Judd to get back to me on the horseback riding, so we still have
Right.
room for that.
So you're gonna need to rearrange it. Okay,
Yeah.
so one
Well,
issue.
he said that if we add more
rearrange it.
stuff, he would take text out and re-edit and make more room, because I added something, you added something, and you wanted to add one more.
Yeah.
We came up with 3 more
And
things.
then we have one more possible. We didn't get anything else on the website? I didn't get anything. Ron, we didn't get anything else? Because I directed a lot of people to the website, so we didn't get anything.
Did anybody send anything, what they wanted to
You
do
guys
on the
get
brochure?
Everything?
Everything that comes out, yeah. I have both contacts and parks forwarded to everybody.
Okay.
Thank you, Francesca.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, can you give me your phone number? We can sit down and talk, or do you wanna?
I was gonna email you and just say,
Oh, you got
let's get
it.
together.
Okay, perfect.
It's forward planning, yeah.
Okay, so one concern I had was that, I like this, folded up like this, but last time we did this, and Lisa did all the work on it, it couldn't be mailed cost effectively, and to put it in the Century, it's gotta be left flat, so we need a flat one for the Century, and then we need to have the printer make the folded ones that we're gonna put around wherever we're gonna put them around it, because Shay goes, well, we'll just put them around, and I go, well, there's no place in Majeska, people, there's no place that we go to get stuff. So if it doesn't go to Majeska or Williams in the Century, it's not gonna get to those homes.
Well,
So
we're not gonna put it in the Century. We decided, I thought we decided that we're gonna put an ad in the Century, direct them into our website, because we wanna hit all the communities, and that would hit every zip code. If we do these in the Century, it'll be way too expensive.
It's $70, right, per,
Depends on the zip.
per
yeah.
insertion, per zip code, after you come up with the flyer. So it's the flyer cost
No, it's
plus.
way more than that.
Oh,
It
because that's what
depends
it
on
said
how
on
many
there.
it
households.
was more than 70.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay, because
So-
I just read a number off the
I thought it was
website.
like
Yeah.
240 or something.
Yeah, 240 I
Okay.
think is just us.
Okay.
And then if you hit like Europe, because I've done them in different areas, if you hit like, you know, some of the different areas are like 2,000.
Oh, okay.
So some of the zip
No.
codes, because they're larger numbers.
You guys aren't hearing me.
I hear you.
Nobody in Majeska, she hears me, no one in Majeska is gonna get this if it doesn't go in the Century to their house.
So it's gotta go in the center.
It's got, or be mailed, but when we did mailing, it was way more expensive than the Century.
But is the Century 8.5 by 11 flat, or can they do 14? We have questions now.
I'm thinking that you should have looked into that before you went all the way.
Well, we
and
did,
made
we
a
had
brochure.
decided not to do
Well,
it
and
in
if
the
it's
Century.
two-sided, it's double the price too.
Mhm.
So do we want to spend?
But this is what we did before,
I know
right?
it probably costs $500 to send it out. Do we want to do that, or do we want to run an ad?
It was somewhere around $500.
I never looked at the ad, and then I'd never see any of this.
But this would go to everywhere that the Century gets sent.
What if we did
And we would
this?
have
What
that.
if we
Not
just,
this size, it would be smaller.
what if we just prepared this as a PDF file and just emailed it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we would do that too.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we would
that'd be
do that
two.
too.
But that would
Definitely
be
we would do.
the combination of everything.
Well, we have to find out if we're gonna, I mean, we don't have completely unlimited access to those email lists, and if we use it too much, what's her name? Joanne's gonna cut us off, so I don't know that
Well,
Joanne
you
will
only
be
do it one time, right? How many times are you gonna do it?
3 or 4 times a year, right?
Oh,
Should be
twice a
quarterly.
year.
4 times a year, but
No,
I mean,
twice
you're
a
not
year.
doing it every month.
No, right, these are made to be quarterly, right?
Twice a year.
I don't think Joanne's gonna cut us off.
Right now, we're
There's-
doing spring and summer.
There's several email lists in the
Spring,
annual.
summer, then we do fall, winter.
And I would say if you send it out email, you get a lot of people. If you put them in, post them around, you get a lot more people. And then maybe put a small ad in the Century saying, you know, that this program's available online, and give them the website and put it
That's what we're
online.
gonna
So
do.
the
That's-
combination of the three,
So bang for your buck, we could send this out, or we could have Joel do hikes. Everybody would get this, and the way you're describing it, nobody in Majeska is gonna get this.
nobody would.
I can tell you, nobody's gonna go online and print this down. When it came in the mail, and it looked just like this, it was up on our
Yeah.
back porch where we saw it. And I would not ever go online and print it out.
Yeah, but if you emailed it to them, they'd get it.
Do you know how many emails I get a day? Honest to God, how many emails do you get a day, Chad? I'm getting like 100 or 200, and that's
Yeah,
before there's
200.
something exciting here, and I get an extra 50.
Yeah, but, so what's your answer?
What about
I'm
not-
saying, we used to spend the money to mail it out, to
Yeah.
put it out in the Century,
To the canyon.
only to the canyon. Right, then, I think doing this ad's a great idea too, because then,
That's only $300, not this size, but 5.93 inches by 4 inches is $300
Do
per
that in the
color.
Century?
Yeah,
In addition to sending out in the Century?
well, that's what they're talking, I'm just telling you what they're
we
talking
were talking about putting an ad in the Century and putting these out around.
Okay.
He wants to see that flat in the Century to 92676 and maybe this
Like
as
when
well.
Well, I wouldn't do both. I don't think you need the ad and the flyer.
Well, the ad's gonna go to the entire Century readership
All of the
list.
mailing zip codes that the Century
The whole
goes to.
Century distribution, this only goes to
Are
our
we
zip
pulling
code.
from the whole Century distribution?
Well, you got the email from this guy who came up and said what a wonderful place this is, and you all agreed that that was a worthwhile thing.
One in a
That's
row.
one.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, looking at the cost, I'm just saying, I know that if you insert it in the Century, you're paying for whatever that was, 240.
It's about $500.
About $500, just for that, plus the printing.
And the cost of us mailing this brochure out, which we used to mail it out, was astronomical in comparison.
Okay.
Can we mail it with the survey?
No.
And the price we got,
Well, that's not a bad idea.
Well, we used to do it with the water bill, remember that?
the price we got for 8.5,
You hear what she said?
Yeah, years ago, I remember the water bill folks used to let us put things in it.
that was with, when we had a different
We
water
had our own
company.
thing here,
Yeah,
And then it went to the Intercanyon League.
But
and
we
then-
know some IRWD people, maybe we could ask them. I don't think they could stuff it for us, do you?
No, they wouldn't do that.
We should ask them. They might. They might that, the water district is not poor. They might say, okay.
You could get an answer.
We could ask.
But even the water stuff, a lot of that comes online now. I know we pay our bill online. We don't
You
do
don't get a
it.
bill anymore?
I don't think so, no.
Should hire a teenage courier.
I don't get a bill.
I went to paperless online.
Yeah.
I think, okay, just to summarize, I think if you feel that we wanna spend $500 to blanket the area through the Century with an insert, I would say, okay.
When Lisa was here, we approved her to do 4 of those a year.
Okay. No,
Now they're
I'm
only-
just saying, there's a combination of 3 different ways it goes out. That's one way. Email, so we could turn this in a PDF and email, so if they get it twice, fine, if they don't get it.
Twice is even
And
better.
then the other way is, Jay's idea is just to put, put some in the Pally, and
Everywhere.
the library, and different centers, and let
When they
people-
were like
And maybe for Majeska, you could hire one of the local kids to go out and just
And
put them door to
illegally
door.
inserted on, the doors.
You know what I mean? Just have
You know how
them.
far the doors are? We live so far apart, it's hard to do that.
You have those gang boxes, like in Foothill.
I mean,
area.
we are the
No, we
Parks
don't.
and Recs Department, I think that Tom is right. It should go out in as many places as possible,
It's
and
gonna
it's
hit
worth
different
spending the
people.
money to
Right,
do it,
and
because
two
that's
of
what this is what
them
we're
are
about.
essentially free, because the email is costing, and distribution is, the printing is, but the
Yeah.
distribution is just
Right.
somebody putting them in out somewhere.
I like doing it all ways possible. I'm just telling you that
Yeah.
it's not gonna get to the Majeska people if it doesn't get
What's
delivered
that,
to their
Blue
house
House?
somehow.
Okay.
Okay.
I mean, you guys are so, guess you don't, but you guys don't know what it's like to have a mailbox where everybody goes there, you just leave stuff and they see it. That doesn't exist in Williams and Majeska. So if we gotta get it to the people somehow.
Well, then,
And we'd already approved doing 4 times whatever the cost was, because it was
So it's already in
double-sided
the budget.
before.
And not everybody gets a Century either, because I know we don't get it, because we said no junk mail
I
in
had a
our
hard
PO
time getting our
box.
flyer.
So we
I
don't get the
get-
Century
You
because
screwed
we
yourself
said,
then.
I know, but we were like, oh, we're getting all this junk mail, now we don't get the Century because we didn't want junk mail.
So we have different things to ask. One is,
You gotta make it fit.
do you like this?
I like
One
it.
is, do you like this folded or flat? Well, it's made to be folded.
But it
The
can
other
be flat.
is, do you like it where we're just going to get these printed and we're going to put them out? Are you good with, the cheapest price we found was 8.5 by 14, double-sided at 24 cents each, which is $480 for 2,000 pieces, which is a good price. That's through the Bennett's and whatever printing company they have. And then we also
You need to get a
wanna know
couple
about the,
different- You need to get a couple different.
yeah,
bids.
we got a bid from Kevin's printing contact, and some of them were pretty close, but the 8.5 by 14 that the Bennett's,
Well, now Kevin's
I
price
mean-
is twice as much, more than twice.
yeah. Except
Bennett's
for
have always been
except for
pretty
the digital, and I never really got with him on what the difference was, cause that one was 60 cents each and that one was 54. But this is half,
Well, the way they
this is
price
half price, it's like half the price.
It's half the price, yeah.
Yeah, and this is the same printing pricing we've been getting on all of the other flyers that we do in the canyon, so the chili cook-off flyer, the, country fair flyers, they all get done through this same printer.
You should, the last time Lisa priced it, she picked somebody else and apparently it was cheaper, but you should at least ask them before you go to press.
We
Well, if you
Yeah,
give me
we-
the specs, I deal with a lot of different printers, so if you tell me what the size is and what the specs are, I can give you a number. You know, if it's 8.5, now here's the thing, Shay, if you're going to put it in the Century and their size is 8.5 by 11, then we should make the folded piece 8.5 by 11 and just.
Just make it a trifold instead of.
Yeah.
And fold some and not, but
Yeah, so.
then we're gonna, if we do 8.5 by 11,
It's gonna look like this.
it's gonna have to have a lot less text and it'll end up being small and hard to
Well,
read.
see, let's look at the one Lisa did, because it didn't have any pictures or, you know, it's just all the
What size?
classes.
That was in the Century, is that correct?
Yeah,
This
that's
got, this got sent out in the Century flat.
Oh, like that?
But when it went around here, it was like sheets of paper that just got shoved off to the side and they were flat and people wouldn't notice them when they were sitting in the cafe or whatever.
If that's the Century size, then that's bigger than what you have, so you actually have more.
No, they made it legal in the Century letter.
Okay.
So they might have to, so the font,
We
the
have to
font on both
reduce
is about the
text.
same. Or maybe do a few different, do not as many pictures.
Well, you can reduce the total.
We added the pictures later.
Well, see, when they did it, when they just shrunk it,
Yeah.
it's too tiny on here.
What's the cost to send out the bigger one if we went to all the P.O. Box people in the canyons?
Well, the last time we did it, when Lisa did it, the mailing cost was really high. I mean,
Yeah.
the Century is so much cheaper, we didn't even,
Right.
we just said, fine, Century 4 times a
Was
year.
it like $1,000 a year?
But we don't know what
to
kind of
mail?
response we had from going out in the Century, or I don't know.
There's no way to know.
Yeah.
I mean, it's got, that way you got it delivered to the most people you could get it to. I mean, it was really astronomically different. the
Yeah, I
price
can't
for-
remember when we were sending out the 3-fold or the 4-fold or whatever it was, how much it cost. I wanna say like $600 to go to all the P.O. Box people.
When the other.
That was
Trish
old
did it-
When Trish was doing it.
Yeah, that was old school. She printed them herself at.
Well, I mean,
Well,
I'm not
the cost,
talking,
but it-
I'm talking
so-
about the mailing cost, not the printing cost.
So that was like in '08, right?
Could be,
Quit in '08,
I'm
when
trying
we
to
got
think.
appointed?
When did you guys come on?
10.
10?
No, 11?
9.
10.
So she was doing it up until
10,
then.
right before the flood.
So she was doing it up until then,
Yeah,
and
so postage has gone up since then, so it'd be more expensive
so
now
it's
than
more
it
for
was.
bulk. And I know it was a hassle because of trying to figure out who had
Permit.
that bulk rating and this and that. and-
Yeah,
But she had to work really hard to get it out there, I know that.
yeah.
Well, there's a lot of stuff in Lisa's thing, maybe Kevin will just have to reduce the graphics and some of the type and clean it up a little bit. I think we could, that information could
His
fit.
text is a little stretched longer, taller.
Well, the headings are bold,
There's
the
half of the
spacing
number of
between the
programs.
lines is,
There's double the number of programs on hers.
yeah, see, there's twice as many programs on here as there are on here, and.
But we have a lot of those. There was only a couple of those
Should
that
we be
didn't.
designing this here?
No, we're talking about how we're gonna mail it, and if it's gonna go in the Century, it can't be this big, we think. So
I'm
she's
just
gonna
giving you
work
a
on it.
suggestion.
Don't they already have a budget to do it? I mean, this.
16.
Yeah, I think there's already a budget for you guys to do this.
26 programs on here.
Gosh, it seems like you could almost hire a kid in the canyon to go out 4 times a year and put them on each door handle for a lot cheaper than it would be to go through the mail, you know what I mean, on his bicycle.
Yeah,
Well,
we just have to
there's some door handles that are not accessible.
cut the details.
Then we put on their little lock
We
fences.
need to do it right.
Yeah, I mean, if we wanna get something in the Century, whether it's ad or ad and flyer, the deadline is next week. That's why we're rushing, we're trying to get this done as fast as possible and been working a lot of hours with Kevin on it.
Okay, so the first item we're on is the brochure, so I would really love it that you get this in the Century, because that's how it's gonna get to everybody.
All right.
Right.
So it's gotta be 8.5 by 11.
Well, she's gonna see if it can be a
We're
little
gonna find
bigger.
out. Okay.
And then you're gonna have to re-doctor it up, or,
Yeah,
Right.
we don't
and
need
add
two-
the rest of the
we don't need
programs,
two
because we have
logos.
like,
Okay.
there's like
And then-
5 more to go on there at least.
On the printing costs I'd be happy to look at my store, I deal with a
Yeah.
lot of wholesale sources, and I just knew how many you want
Okay,
and what's
so
up.
maybe you find out where Lisa had it done at, or I'll find out and get the information so you don't have to call her. And then,
Or just send me the
then later
spec.
on, but
Yeah.
but
Send
we
me
have
the
a
spec
pretty.
and I'll fire you the,
we
Who
have
was
a
printing it
deadline.
before?
Huh?
Who was printing it before?
Resources, I think. Do you
oh,
remember?
that's, yeah, Mike Zapola.
Yeah, and his prices were cheaper than everybody in the canyon else that we checked by a lot.
Oh, he's
But they-
got that.
Not by much on the
Compared to
Bennett's,
the
but-
Bennett's, it might not be, but,
Yeah.
but he was the cheapest we had before, so I think you should at least check with him.
We can check it.
Yeah.
But, I think we should approve that we do it, and that it gets sent out in the Century, and it gets made for standing up, and it goes out by email.
I'd like to tie that in with the
Yeah.
number though, with the budget, rather than just saying, let's do it, whatever.
Well,
it
we
costs.
already budgeted a number that, when Lisa was doing it, and told her to do it 4 times a year.
So
What
keep
was
it
the
in the
budget?
same
I don't know,
budget.
keep it within the same dollar amount, or less,
Okay.
if you can get a
Okay.
cheaper printer.
As
So
long as
we'll-
it's in the same dollar.
Scott?
I was just gonna- if you have to have it 8.5 by 11 to fit in the Century,
He's
do
gonna
you
have
have
to
to list
knock it up.
everything, or should you just say, well, highlights, or?
That would
you
be
know?
a different flyer than this.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you're gonna have to take something out
It
anyway.
would be a more
It's got a lot of
reduced flyer.
graphics on it.
So you're
Yeah,
saying
yeah,
like
simplified.
highlight the most important things
Yeah.
that make money, and then go and then have a little thing on there that says, oh, and go to our website where maybe everything's on it.
Mhm.
Well,
Yeah.
the details of the program.
And this is the hardest part right now, we're making the templates that we're gonna use in the
Right.
future, and it's gonna be a lot easier after this.
Yeah.
So if we all of a sudden have a system where we have an ad, we have an 8.5 by 11 flat, and we have a
A
11
handout?
by, or 8.5 by 14 fold up, and we know exactly what we're doing, and we just change the information,
Yeah,
the pictures, we're good to go.
Yeah.
It's just,
I'm
yeah.
still not keen on doing the ad and the flyer. I don't think if we do the flyer, we don't need to do
But
the
no,
ad.
This goes to Orange,
The ad goes to
Tustin,
every city that gets a Century, where this would only be coming to our zip code.
where
So
we're
we might-
already mostly gonna know
We
about
might
it.
pull
How many
people,
cities, I mean, what are we talking about? Santa Ana, Tustin,
All of the
It's a
areas
lot.
of Cowan Heights,
Anybody
Tustin,
have-
Orange.
Tribuco.
Yeah.
wait a minute,
Yeah,
wait a
right,
minute.
grab my Century.
Distributed to, does
Oh,
it say
oh, yeah,
East
there it
Orange,
is, right.
LPA, Villa Park, Anaheim Hills, Cowan Heights, North Tustin, here, Crawford Canyon.
Yeah,
And somewhere on here it says about how many they send out, I just,
It's a
for
lot.
$300.
yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's.
In
30
color.
I'm gonna say it's like 30,000 issues,
Yeah.
but, that seems
Oh,
high.
No,
I'm
that's
glad
not
you brought that.
30,000.
Find one that's 3 columns wide by 4 inches tall, that would be the size that we would be doing our ad.
Well, there's 3 columns, probably about 4 inches.
Nice size.
No, that's pretty good size.
Okay, so the first agenda item is the brochure.
Okay,
Are we up for the brochure? She's gonna try to get it, she's gonna try to put it in like it used to be. There you go. Like that. Or something.
okay, we'll talk to Kevin.
Okay. But call Cynthia first thing and say.
I am, I placed a call with them tonight, they didn't answer the phones, and I was trying to get a hold of people that I know that work there, and I couldn't get a hold of them.
Okay. And now they're also talking about 2 a year instead of 4, so.
Yeah.
So that means we could, there's
Right.
probably plenty of money in the money we already budgeted.
That gives us money for the ad.
Okay.
Yeah, I think there's really.
And then it's not so redundant, the information will change more radically than continue on, you know?
Okay.
But it packs out,
So we've
it
already-
packs us out because we're all the way
Do you
to,
know the quantity we need, Jay? I mean, any number, total
n-
amount?
no, I just went off of a 2,000 piece print.
2,000? Okay. What I'm saying is, I'd be happy to get you some numbers. if
Yeah,
you
I
need
got,
it.
oh, I'm sorry, yeah, I got prices on 2,000, Kevin got prices on 2,500 on some of them, but I asked the Bennetts, they gave me prices on 2,000.
Yeah, that's not gonna be enough though.
All right, so one was offset and one was digital, and which one was the cheapest?
The digital was most expensive, the offset, quad fold, 8.5 by 14, 2,000 pieces, gloss,
It's 24 cents
double-sided
each.
color.
But
And
it
the,
might
and the
have
price
to be
they gave me
11.
was $480.
Might have to be 8.5 by 12, 11.
8.5 by 11?
We have to ask the Sentry.
Well, we have a price on 8.5 by 11 here too.
No, but you have to ask the Sentry what they can put in.
Right. And that was the question I had to them tonight.
Okay, yeah, see, the reason,
Just
okay,
measure it.
digital is good if you just do a short run, like 50 or 100. But once you get into the thousands,
That's
big
what it
gang
is.
run 'em.
Okay.
That's what Mike's
Oh,
company
that's
does.
the
They
gang
put
run?
Yeah,
Okay,
they-
that's
they
what
have
offset
like
is?
5-10 jobs on one big sheet,
Right,
and they run
okay.
it through.
Okay.
And that's why it's cheaper,
Okay.
because they're doing it all at one time.
Okay, so you're gonna maybe have a time crunch, you may not be able to use anybody else this time, but that should be something you can look
These,
into.
and they were really cheap all the other years that we got, not SMRPD, but we got pricing for the country fair flyers and the chili cook-up and stuff like that. It was always really cheap, so. Okay, so then we're gonna get back with you guys then, okay, on emails or whatever with final products, right?
Right.
But I
But
think
at least you saw it
you've
here?
already been approved to do this
Okay.
in the Sentry, it'll just be whether you guys can make it fit.
Okay,
If you
all
can't
right,
make it fit, then you have to come back.
all right. So then now you have to
We
tell
don't even
me,
need to vote on that, cause we've already budgeted that.
Okay.
okay, but what about, okay, now the ad, do you guys, are you happy with it? Do you like it? Kevin designed it?
I might put one sample of something that really is cool, so they could see what we do, like the Majeska Nights or something.
Oh, you want to add a
Just-
sample of something
yeah.
in there?
Yeah.
Maybe every time we do it, we put a different thing in.
Oh, each time highlight something that we're doing that's coming up?
Yeah.
Yeah, see, he kinda does it here, it says hiking, yoga, painting, and DIY. Maybe,
Yeah.
to me, I like to see, I mean, I don't think this needs to be that bold, but.
I didn't think so either.
Yeah.
I wanna see that smaller.
Yeah,
If you
I
had more
think something
information
that
on
catches
classes.
them, yeah, something that catches them like that, maybe the
Mhm.
summer concert series or the Majeska Nights.
That'd be
And
good for
more-
that time of year when those
just
come out.
For more, go to, the website, you know.
Well,
just-
Majeska Nights needs more attendance. Everybody knows about our summer concert
Well, then
series.
put Majeska Nights. in.
And maybe Majeska Nights needs a little pick-me-up.
Yeah,
To
and
get a little
I think the
boost.
message too, come up for a visit, it's not really saying enroll in a class and you love what you see. It's almost like a tourist brochure.
But it kinda is a tourist brochure.
It
But
Trying
we
to get
want
'em-
people to come to the center, right?
Yeah, and Ron, when they click on the Google Calendar thing, does it just open that calendar thing? Maybe
Yeah,
we-
I mean, it opens the calendar and it's a full
That
page.
There's
calendar's
two clicks.
pretty crappy looking. I mean,
Oh, yeah, I know, it's
It's
Google.
It's jammed.
It's Google Calendar and it's really packed now.
well, maybe we need to,
Well, the brochure's on the site
The
too.
brochure would be what they'd wanna click on to see
maybe this
this.
thing should send them to the brochure, not to the
Yes,
Google
I
Calendar.
like that, I like that.
Oh, okay, so then it would just send it to, then we should just say smrpd.org.
Yeah, cause it's right on the.
And then-
Right.
No, but dash whatever takes them exactly, so this
Exactly
needs
to
to
it?
be on our
Its own
website,
page.
Okay,
somewhere easy to find, and then.
I can do that.
but we
that
don't
ad-
have a link
But that
yet.
ad needs to link it.
unless,
Well, I can create the link and as soon as you give it to me.
can you do that?
Yeah.
Okay, all right, 'cause-
Yeah,
Give
if
me
we-
that, actually, I'll just have
Okay.
something as a dummy.
Yeah,
Okay.
if we had, like, say, list of classes, and then they could click and find the class, you know, maybe the message would be something like, you know, I don't know, classes every night, or hundreds of classes, or hiking, and more stuff. In other words, what I'm trying to do is put more meat in it, not just say, hey, come up and see us sometime, it's like,
Yeah,
give
so,
a reason.
so this
Okay.
whole click the Google Calendar can change to a small thing that clicks, that takes you to that brochure, and then you could have part of it to talk about maybe one class and highlight a
Well, you
different
can
class
say
each time.
14 classes offered or something like that. You can just have something that says, hey, there's a lot of stuff here, come and find out about it. So that's the direction I would go.
okay. Well, we
Yeah,
have
I
a few
like
days.
this. There's a lot going on in
I
the
do
backyard.
too, I fell in love with it.
Maybe this could be smaller and just come
I
up to
think
visit, get shoved in
This
here.
could be smaller, but I don't wanna lose that come up for a visit, there's a lot going on in your backyard. I just think it's really cool.
That,
I asked him to add this, he didn't have that, but, I mean, we could change it to,
so, it'll say something like, click here to see our class schedule, and then maybe highlight one and,
I
well,
like that.
it's gonna be in printed text in the newspaper, can they click one on
no,
it?
they can't click, but at least they see
No,
it.
cause even
Yeah.
online, it's a PDF.
but if they look at the ad and then they see the same thing on smrpd.org, they'll
Right.
know to click there.
Right,
go to-
okay.
So we need right on our front page, not over here all about SMRPD, something that says activity calendar, one of the first things they see.
Yeah, I can do that. I was gonna change some stuff anyhow, it just takes effort.
Cause Google Calendar really is set up for people to find out when we're busy and when we're not, and to find when there's a hole in our schedule that you could book the community center.
You know what else could
It's
be
really
in
not
there?
for
We
the-
have, it's like, booking parties or events or something, we could have that.
Oh, especially since we wanna use possibly, portions of the children's center for that sort of thing. We wanna show-
Maybe we should have two calendars, that's a good point. Have one facilities only and then the other one for just other things. Because you're right, people look at it to see when things are open,
And
and if there's other things, it's impossible.
You gotta know how to,
Yeah, if you don't know what
Read
you're
that
doing.
I looked at that thing tonight, actually, my
I
goodness.
know, it's getting more and more full every day too.
Yeah, so if we said like, have your party in the canyon or something, and it's something to that effect, then people go, oh, that's neat, you do that.
And a photograph.
Well, it kinda
So you can
sounds,
see what it looks like.
invites, we have to say like birthday parties, So we wanna look at that, not just say, here's what we offer, we wanna like say, we have a facility that you can use.
Yeah,
Okay,
rent
I
a
was-
facility for your party,
Okay, we weren't thinking that at all.
yeah. We're very close.
Okay.
Okay, nobody else has anything, that's what I just heard. Is there a motion to adjourn?
I make a motion to adjourn.
10:15 left.